Hello. Today we're going to continue with our discussion of the Greek gods, and we're going to start in with some stories about Zeus. My goal, honestly, is just to give you some stories that sort of illustrate their character a bit, and so we'll start right into it. This story involves uh, a Io who is a priestess of Hera. And in your notes, you'll notice that I don't say this quite the same way. I changed it because I used to say, and too pretty for Zeus. And then I realized, gosh, there's something wrong with that idea, right? Uh, I think in your notes now I say he finds her attractive. But the idea, do you see the problem with this? To say she's just too pretty for Zeus, uh, which absolves him of responsibility, puts all the responsibility on the fact that I was pretty. Great that she's pretty, that shouldn't mean that Zeus can't help himself. So I really felt like, gosh, we got to change the wording there. So I left it in my notes just so we could talk about it in class, which we may still try to do so. So Zeus seduces her using a cloud to hide them. Hera, I always pictured she's kind of, looking around, what's going on, where's Zeus, and you could talk to him maybe about something on the grocery list, I don't know. And can't find him. It's a clear, beautiful day, sunshiny day. Looks down and says, wow, there's a cloud down there on Earth. That's kind of odd. And so she comes down to check it out, see what's going on, and finds Zeus with a cow. Oh, how innocent. So there is a picture of Zeus, and there's Hera, and there's the cow. Now the Cupid is indicating romance, right? That there was romance going on. I don't know that it's better to come and find your husband with a cow where he's pretty much disrobed, or with a woman, but you be the judge of that. Hera knows the deal, and she wants the cow as a gift. And maybe you've met somebody like this. I had an aunt who was just loved giraffes, and so anything giraffe, stuffed giraffes, porcelain giraffes, giraffe pillows, giraffe cups, whatever. And so people would always get her things that were giraffe themed. Well, Hera likes cows. And so she says to Zeus, hey, this is a really nice cow. I think I want this as a gift. And you can picture Zeus sort of stammering, but what's he going to do, right? He's certainly not going to admit what he was actually doing. And you realize, I hope by this point, that he turned Io into a cow so it would look innocent. So Hera sends a giant, Argus, to guard Io the cow. And Argus is well suited to this job. He has 100 eyes, and he never completely sleeps. So talk about somebody who's going to be good to do some guarding. He's your guy. Now Zeus feels bad for Io, right? Wow, here I seduced this young woman, and we were having relations. And, oh gosh, then my wife was coming. I turned her into a cow. Blah, blah, blah. So he does feel bad for her. And he sends help. Help in the form of Hermes. So Hermes comes to free Io. But to do this, he really needs to get Argus to sleep. Argus is a giant after all. And he has 100 eyes. And Hermes has trouble at first. Right now, you might want to stop and think for a minute. Gosh, what kind of things do I do in order to get sleep if I'm having trouble sleeping? Maybe there's melatonin, or you turn on a fan, or maybe you take some sort of prescription medication prescribed by your doctor to you, right? We do a variety of things. Maybe you count sheep. Maybe you have warm milk, or some chamomile tea. I don't know, whatever it is that you do. Well, Hermes has trouble, right? He doesn't have a lot of those options to him. So what he does is he tells this long, dull story that does finally make Argus fall asleep. Some of you are probably thinking, hey, that sounds like math class. No, of course not. Now, as Argus sleeps, Hermes kills him. That's pretty hardcore there. He doesn't just take Io and run off. He kills Argus. And Hermes gets the nickname Argiophontes, which just means the giant killer. And we'll run into this again later on. Pardon. Now, what about Argus's 100 eyes? Well, Hera puts them on a peacock's tail, which is an example of an etiological myth, right? Why does the peacock's tail have those eyes? Well, those are Argus's eyes. Well, Io's free, but Juno sends a gadfly, which is just essentially a stinging, biting insect to harass Io, because Juno knows who she really is. She knows she's not really a cow. All right, so here's Hermes. And yes, I know Argus doesn't have 100 eyes here, so it goes. But you'll notice there's Hermes doing his thing, and there's Io. This painting is by a guy named Peter Paul Rubens, who is a very famous Renaissance artist. Very much enjoyed, evidently, painting mythological scenes. Here's an ancient one, ancient Greek vase thing. I'm going to say probably 5th century. You can kind of tell one of the giveaways is the type of loincloth that they would wear. And I'm guessing this is a 5th century BC loincloth. Anyway, there's Argus with his 100 eyes. And I like this one. It's kind of cool, right? He's got eyes all over the place, not just on his head. All right, well, Io eventually runs into Prometheus. Remember what Prometheus is doing at this point? Right, he's sitting there having his liver getting eaten every day by an eagle, which then regrows each night. Rough time. But he's the forward thinker, right? He's the one who sees ahead, and he says, you know what, Io, it's all going to be okay. You're going to go to Egypt. You're going to be turned back into a human being, and you're going to give birth to a son. And what do you know? She does. She goes to Egypt. If we were in class, I don't have a map in this presentation. I would show you on the map, there's a place called the Bosphorus Straits. It's still there to this day. And it's actually kind of known as it's called the cow. The Bosphorus Straits refers to the cow crossing. And that's where she kind of goes across from Greece and heads down to Egypt. She ends up being equated with the Egyptian goddess Isis. Remember what this is called when you have a god or goddess in one culture and you equate them with a god or goddess from another culture? Yes, syncretism. So there it is again. All right. So that is the story of Io. And next installment, we will talk about the story of Europa. Talk to you then.